I am Artemisia I of Caria, the queen who fought like a king. A man who does not fight is already defeated. A woman who takes command must fight twice as hard. I was born into a world ruled by men. A world where women were expected to weave, bear children, and stand silent behind their husbands. But I was no ordinary woman. I was Artemisia I of Caria, and I did not stand behind men. I stood among them, sword in hand, leading armies, commanding fleets, earning the respect of emperors and the fear of my enemies. The Greeks would remember me as the only female commander in Xerxes' great war against Greece. The Persians would know me as the only admiral who never failed in battle. Even my enemies, the Athenians, would acknowledge that I fought with more wisdom and skill than the greatest of their warriors. My name would live on for centuries, whispered in legends and chronicled in histories. But before I became a legend, I was a child of two worlds, a Greek by blood, a Persian by loyalty, and a queen by destiny. I was born in Halicarnassus, the jewel of Caria, on the shores of the Aegean Sea. It was a city of contrasts, a place where Greek culture met Persian rule, where philosophers and poets walked the same streets as warriors and merchants. My father, the king of Caria, was a vassal of the great Persian Empire, ruling under the protection of the Achaemenid dynasty. My mother was Greek, a noblewoman whose ancestors had once fought against Persian rule but now lived under it. From the beginning, I was torn between two worlds, Hellenic and Persian, Eastern and Western. Other girls were raised to be wives. I was raised to be a ruler, a warrior, and a leader. My father saw no use in keeping me cloistered within palace walls. Instead, he ensured that I was educated alongside the sons of nobles, trained in politics, diplomacy, and more importantly, warfare. I learned to read the stars and navigate the treacherous waters of the Aegean. I studied the art of shipbuilding, of naval strategy, of war at sea. I watched the fierce hoplites of Greece and the mighty cavalry of Persia, understanding their strengths and weaknesses. And when my father died, leaving his kingdom without a male heir, I took the throne. It was unheard of, a woman ruling in her own right. But I was no ordinary queen. I had seen too many women handed off like property, their power stripped from them the moment they were married. I refused. I had a son, and he would rule one day, but until he was of age, I would be the one to govern Caria. I would not be a pawn in a political marriage, given away to a husband who would claim my throne as his own. I ruled alone, defying tradition, commanding respect not because of my birth, but because of my strength and intelligence. I built a formidable navy, one that would make Halicarnassus the envy of the Aegean. And then war came. The world trembled at the name of Xerxes I, King of Kings. He had inherited the Persian throne from his father, Darius the Great, and with it, his father's dream, the conquest of Greece. When Xerxes called upon his vassal states to join his invasion, I did not hesitate. While other Greek cities resisted Persian rule, I saw what they could not. Persia was the future, and Greece was divided. I pledged my allegiance to Xerxes and brought my fleet to his cause, 5 of the finest ships in his navy, each commanded by warriors who had sworn loyalty to me. Many in the Persian court doubted me. A woman? An admiral? But Xerxes was no fool. He saw what others did not, that I was more capable than the men who sneered at me. And so, when the great invasion began, I stood not as a servant, but as one of Xerxes' most trusted commanders. Victory should have been ours. The Persians had already crushed the Spartans at Thermopylae, burned Athens to the ground, and shattered Greek resistance on land. The Greek navy was all that remained, a desperate force clinging to the waters of Salamis, waiting for us to finish them. I warned Xerxes, do not engage them in these narrow straits. Their ships are smaller, swifter. Ours are powerful, but unwieldy. Let them come to us. Fight them in the open sea, where our numbers will overwhelm them. But Xerxes did not listen. He was blinded by his own power, convinced of his inevitable victory. He ordered the attack. It was a disaster. Greek ships darted through the Persian fleet like sharks among whales, ramming, boarding, cutting down my allies one by one. But I did not falter. When I saw a Greek trireme bearing down on me, I made a ruthless choice. I rammed a Persian ally's ship, sinking it instantly. The Greeks, thinking I had defected to their side, left me alone. From his throne on the cliffs, Xerxes himself watched the battle unfold. He believed I had destroyed an enemy ship, not an ally's. He turned to his court and said, "My men have become women, and my women have become men." I was the only commander who left the battle without loss. Xerxes, humiliated and enraged, summoned his generals. I alone spoke the truth. "Withdraw. You will never break the Greeks." And for the first time, Xerxes listened. He left Greece and returned to Persia, leaving a general behind to continue the war. He took me with him. In Susa, the heart of the Persian Empire, I was honored as a hero, an advisor, a warrior who had stood firm when others had failed. Even among the greatest generals of Persia, my name carried weight. But the records of history do not tell what became of me. Some say I lived out my days in power, guiding Persian strategy from the shadows. Others claim I met a tragic end, that I fell in love with a man who did not love me, and in despair, threw myself into the sea. I prefer to believe that I lived as I had fought, bold, defiant, and unbroken. They will say I was a queen. They will say I was an admiral. They will say I was the only woman to fight in Xerxes' war. But I was more than that. I was a leader among men, a warrior among soldiers, a strategist among kings. Even my enemies, the Athenians, could not deny my greatness. There is no woman like her among all the people of the world. Herodotus. I was Artemisia of Caria, and I fought like a king.
Είμαι η Αρτεμισία της Καρίας, η βασίλισσα που πολέμησε σαν βασιλιάς. Ένας άντρας που δεν πολεμάει είναι ήδη ηττημένος. Μια γυναίκα που αναλαμβάνει τη διοίκηση πρέπει να πολεμήσει διπλά σκληρά. Γεννήθηκα σε έναν κόσμο που κυριαρχείται από άνδρες. Έναν κόσμο όπου οι γυναίκες έπρεπε να υφαίνουν, να γεννούν παιδιά και να στέκονται σιωπηλές πίσω από τους συζύγους τους. Αλλά δεν ήμουν μια συνηθισμένη γυναίκα. Ήμουν η Αρτεμισία πρώτος της Καρίας και δεν στεκόμουν πίσω από τους άνδρες. Στεκόμουν ανάμεσά τους, με το σπαθί στο χέρι, ηγούμενοι στρατών, διοικώντας τόλους, κερδίζοντας το σεβασμό των αυτοκρατόρων και τον φόβο των εχθρών μου.